Google Bard, competitor to OpenAI's ChatGPT, just received its latest update and got a ton of new features which may not be available in ChatGPT as of yet. Without wasting any time, let's get into it. In this video, we will go through 6 major updates received by Google Bard. The first one will be that it is connected to internet, which was not possible before. You can now write code, explain code from a link, or you can translate code. Google Bard currently supports up to 20 different programming languages. Google Bard now accepts voice prompts. It has now the ability to generate images. It is not working at my end right now, but hopefully it will be there soon. There's a dark mode available, and Google Bard offers up to 3 different drafts available by default. The first and most important edge Google Bard has over ChatGPT is that it's connected to live internet and can search through the internet. That means we can ask it to explain recent events. Let's ask it what's happening in Sudan. Awesome. So Bard knows what's happening in Sudan. Let's ask it if it knows who replaced Elon Musk on Twitter recently. And sure enough, it's able to answer us on that. Now, let's ask it a bit tricky question and see if Bard is able to tell us if Linda's connection with World Economic Forum impacts her performance as Twitter head. And we get our detailed answer. You can pause and read out the whole answer if you like. Moving on to second feature, Bard has capability to write code, explain code from a link, or by providing it code in a prompt. It can also translate code among different languages. Bard currently supports up to 20 different programming languages. Let's test it by having it write some Python code that reads Excel file into pandas data frame, removes duplicates, and then creates a new column based off value in name column. So my example Excel file has serial number and names of Pokemon characters. Serial number is deliberately noted with leading zeros, as loading it normally without specifying any options will convert this column into an integer data type and removing the leading zeros. We get our code. Except for converting data type to string, everything else looks good. So I request Bard to modify our code and load serial number column as string data type instead of converting it later on. And boom, Bard understands it and provides me correct code. Right, so let's test it. We load our VS Code, create a new Python file in same directory and copy paste the code. The code for loading file we will take from latest answer. Rest of the code block we will pick from earlier answer. Right, so let's update the file name and run the code. We run the code and we can see that all works good. Okay, so click on DF in interactive window and you can see that the serial numbers have retained the leading zeros in it, and you can also see that the new column has been created that says char present. Now let's do df.dtypes to check the data type, and you can see the serial number column is now in object data type instead of integer data type. Now let me remove the code where it loads serial column as string and rerun the code, and you will see that now serial column will show integer values and remove the leading zeros, which could be important in cases where you have zip codes or other such values with leading zeros. Okay, so far so good. So I can see that there is a dark theme available. Let's test it. Alright, this is great. So we have a dark theme as well. So far we have tested it by giving it code to write for Python, and we also tested if it's able to tell us about latest news. So next thing we will do is we will ask it to translate the Python code into our script and see if it's able to do that. Okay, so we will continue with the code which we wrote earlier using Bard. Let's copy and paste the code. I'm just going to uncomment this, which I did temporarily. Let me copy and paste the code. So I'm going to tell it to translate this code to our script. Click on enter, and here we get the code. Okay, let me pull up our script and let's test the code. Copy paste the code. Okay, I have copy pasted the code. Let me run it. Select all of it. Click on run. Okay, I think these rows need to be commented out. So remove duplicates from data frame. This needs to be commented out. This should also be commented, and this is also supposed to be a comment. Okay, so the file name, this has to be in the same directory. So I'm going to save the R script in the same folder I have the Python code. Okay, since now it's in the same directory, I can just give the file name, which is output.xlsx. Let's try to run this line by line. So let's select the line that loads in the library. Click on run. Okay, it runs fine. Now let's try to load the line where it loads the data frame. Error in read Excel, unused argument. Okay, right. So let's copy and paste the code and ask Bard about the error. Okay, so it's telling us that we can simply remove the column classes argument from your script because the read Excel automatically infers the data type. Let me remove this from here and run it again. Okay, so it seems like we received some warnings. So if you work long enough with R script, you will realize that most of these warnings are related to imports and multiple imports. So it's possible that same thing is importing into multiple libraries. So that is why it shows errors. So on the right side, you can see that the data frame has been loaded. So if we click on it, we are able to see our data frame, which is correct. We open up our Excel file. This is the correct data frame. Okay, so it has been able to load it successfully. Now, next thing we need is it's going to remove duplicates. So let's run this line. It ran successfully. All right, so we can see here that one of these has been removed. So you can see here on serial number 6, we have 3 values, but here we only have 2 values remaining. It has removed one of the values from this. The remove duplicate line also works. Let's go back. Now let's test this line, which creates a new column and says yes if the name has char in it, and no if it does not have that in it. Let's run it. So far so good. Let's do df and it will show you df here as well. It's easier to see it here, so let's see it here. So far so good. We can see that all of those rows where we have char in the name, it is saying yes, and all of the other it's saying no. So we have successfully translated Python script to R script. So Bard is doing really well in this area. Let's go back. Other things you can test out is to give it a link to a specific code in GitHub or any other place and ask it to explain you the code, and Google Bard has the capability to do that as well. Alright, so moving on, what we are going to do is we are going to test Bard's capability to generate images, because it has been added as a new upgrade recently. So let's ask it to generate us some thumbnails for our YouTube video, which I'm going to put up. So let's ask Bard to generate us some interesting thumbnails. Alright, so it has generated me 5 ideas. I want pictures instead, so let's try asking it again. Okay, let's try again, try to generate the images. Okay, so seems like this has not been implemented yet, but I did see somewhere that it's able to do that. So let's wait and see when it gets available. Another major update that Bard received is that it's now able to take prompts through a microphone. So let's try that. Please list 5 Python libraries and why they're famous. Okay, so it is able to translate my voice correctly, and seems like a good idea if you don't want to type out all of your prompts. More updates include now the option to have different drafts. So by default, Bard will give you 3 different drafts. You can pick and select whichever you like. You also have the option to directly export the response to a draft in Gmail. That's also very helpful. There are a few more updates that Bard has received, but I'm going to wrap up the video. If you enjoy the content, support the channel by liking and subscribing. If you have any questions or comments, post them in the comment section below, and I will see you next time.